beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. Let me know how the internet's doing. It's showing me on my side that's not great, but I know I've been telling you guys a lot recently that I've been, I had this new router that's supposed to be, the tech thingies are supposed to be better. Significantly better. I think it was something like, I was at 400 something nerd shits, and now I'm at something like 1,000 nerd shits, whatever the hell that means. Essentially supposed to be better internet. So, but I was seeing the little thingy. So let me know if it's lagging. It should be crisp as hell right now. I have been noticing, using all my devices, everything seems slightly quicker. I have no idea. You guys know I'm retarded when it comes to tech stuff. So, just give me some feedback if you guys notice that the internet does seem crisper than normal. I did try to do that for you guys. It seemed only to make sense to invest a little bit into better internet for the show. So here we are. Let me know. So otherwise, so I can keep bugging my internet provider to, figure out other ways. I think there's another way. I heard something about a mesh network or something. There's other ways I can improve it. So we'll see how this works. You guys let me know, because my internet's never been that bad, but every now and then, and I don't want that every now and then. So I want it to be never to be an issue. So just let me know if you see any issues. Give me some feedback, please. Guys, we had an eventful weekend. Man, oh man. If you only watch this show, we have quite a bit to jump into. But God, it's I guess since my life is now kind of always imbibing content, it is kind of hard to separate, where you guys are. Because you guys are probably like, whoa, what the hell? For me, it's like I've already done a podcast. I've watched I don't know how many. I've been glued. I've been far too into content lately. I did do a in studio podcast with Clint, by the way, over this weekend. So that's kind of what I'm referring to. That I actually did with Clint, Russell, Austin. So you guys know Austin, obviously. Anyone watches this show, he used to do the morning dance with me. He doesn't anymore. We're still buddies though. We still do the Already Dead show together. So he was there, I was there, Clint was there, and Sam Tripoli was there. Also, Josie, the redheaded libertarian, she swapped in at one point. So we had a little podcast. It was a good time. It was mere hours before the big news of today. Not even today. It was big news of Saturday night that we still have people saying we're not in the war, which is retarded, but I'd say that's pretty resolutely the point where you kind of really can't pussyfoot around being in war without looking like a retard. I've seen many people saying, "Oh, just airstrikes, just this, that. It's not a war." Okay. I don't know. If you've been following along with where we've been and how much we've been providing their enemy and all, you kind of feel stupid to not say it's a war at this point. So I think this is kind of the resolute moment where it's yep, there was no pussyfooting around. They're in the war, and we've gone so far as, which we'll get into in our first story, that they are. We're talking regime change already. So, all the influencers, all the MAGAs, just limited strikes. No regime change. We're not about that regime change war stuff anymore. But I don't know. All right, let's take a moment. Let's go through the chat. Say good morning to all of you beautiful people. Good morning, Black Eye. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Kimberly. Good morning, Juan. Good morning, Hey Say What Now. Good morning, Rise to Liberty. Good morning, Jabrowski. Black Eye saying it's sounding good. Spellbound Bear, good morning. Good morning, Doctori. Good morning, Bill Wright. Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Good morning, Jay Tunnels. Bomb, 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 bomb Iran, says Dr. 420. It's good to see a bunch of y'all here with me today. Man, we have a lot to go through, and it's pretty much all like Israel, Iran, U.S. stuff. We have a little bit of other stuff that we didn't. Probably could have covered it on Friday's stream, but I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't really where. I don't remember what happened there, but we'll talk a little bit more about what I'm calling the Manchurian, Minnesota murders, because there's a tad bit more in that. But for the most part, this is going to be extremely U.S. Israel, like all things on that side. Very much a foreign policy episode. So just a warning. Good morning, Tommy. Good to see you guys in here. Oh, I'm so unprofessional. Sorry, you guys heard that beep. That was my phone. I will turn that off. Oh, yeah, with that, I did what I meant to, when I brought up that podcast, I did want to let you guys know. For one, it's also just kind of, I was covering all this stuff over the weekend, so I'm kind of still in it. You know, I never really got out of it. I didn't really get that weekend that a lot of us content creators do. We get that break, and it didn't really get that break because we had the whole Iran thing. But I was also bringing it up to mention it is premiering over at Clint's, over on Liberty Lockdown at noon, so I think it'll be on on all platforms, or at least YouTube at noon. So definitely, if you have other devices, even if you want to stay on this stream, but if you have other devices or open up another tab, put it on mute or something, go ahead and play that too. Just to hack the algo, because I know with live streams and with premieres, the more people you get at the initial, it boosts the algo for later. So hook a brother up. But anyways, let's get into some actual stories. But I do look forward to you guys seeing that, because I find it particularly interesting because it was literally, like I said, hours before the bombs went off. We were talking kind of predictions and stuff, which is, I find it particularly interesting that like now it's going to drop here in like an hour, and it's like we talked all those predictions. And I remember a lot of it. I think we pretty much, I don't know, if anything, I under-predicted. So, but you guys will see. And it's all the same stuff I've been saying on the show anyway, so it's not really like not like there was some major head change in my positions when I came there. But let's start off with, let's start off with this. Start off with this tweet right here. I think this, in the realm of predictions that I kind of made, I did keep an ear out when you listen to that interview, and I think I've said it on this show. I don't know if I've thrown out Matt Gaetz specifically on this show, but just kind of like how there are these certain influencers are kind of, I don't know, they're in like this, I said before, they were in a holding position is what I said they were before all this. They're still kind of weirdly in a holding position. The Gates, the Kirks, I don't know where Tim Pool is on this, but just the typical line riders, I guess. A lot of them are doing this like weird thing where they're kind of, I don't know, playing both sides. I think this is a great example of what I was talking about. Here's Matt Gaetz, who has been kind of, honestly, really, especially on the nuclear side of things, he's been like really lambasting Israel for their nuclear shit. But at the same time, he's also kind of been devouring every little bit of right-wing propaganda, and also very clearly still kind of being doing this, I'm loyal to Trump thing, but I don't want regime war. And so there's almost this implication of like, well, I'm sort of okay with what they're doing, but like I don't want us to do regime change war. So they could do this, that, just not regime change. Just not regime change. We can even let Israel do the thing, just not regime change. So here's a good example. He's sharing Donald Trump's, one of his tweets that he put out after bombing, which he did this weekend. Israel, Trump bombed, well, not Trump, I guess, the administration, the military, whatever, bombed, I believe it was three sites, as he says right here. He says, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So they dropped, remember the whole thing we've been told this entire time is that they really, really needed our bunker buster bombs, and so they really needed us. That we just need us to in and out, just drop that bomb, get on out of there. Oh, nuke program's done, easy peasy, all done. Wipe our hands, go home. That was the narrative we were sold. I don't know. I think only a retard would fall for that narrative, and we will get into that in a little bit because there is that doesn't seem to be the case. But back to Matt Gaetz. I do think it's interesting to see where does he fall. Now how do they bend over for this one? How do they President Trump basically wants this to be like the Soleimani strike. One and done. No regime change war. Trump the peacemaker. Which we'll get into why this is even more ridiculous. Then I think this was sent around the same time too. This is Donald Trump saying any retaliation by Iran against the USA will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. So after dropping those, then he goes, any retaliation will be met with anything far worse. As if like, hey, we're allowed to do this, which is, I don't know, the idea that you can just, bomb your enemies and not expect them to attack back and then be upset when they, obviously it would make sense that you would retaliate, but this weird, like, beforehand, we're going to retaliate so fucking hard if you retaliate. It's like, but dude, you just, like, attacked us. It only makes sense that we'd retaliate. So, I don't know. I guess that's not that crazy. And then I did want to, before we really get into things, because I just figured it only makes sense. It is the thumbnail. I put Benny Boy as our thumbnail. I figured, I haven't watched this. I watched like 30 seconds of it, and I figured we'd see where Ben is at it. Maybe kind of take this down a little bit, piece by piece, and I just figured it makes sense. He is the thumbnail, and I am interested to see where, how the Ben Shapiros of the world are spitting this. So let's watch this.
Now, let me be 100% clear. President Trump has more spine, more intestinal fortitude, more cojones than any president of my lifetime. By far, it's not close. This, of course, is a historically courageous man, if that was not clear from the moment he stood up during the last campaign, shaking his fist and yelling, fight, 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 after being shot in the ear. President Trump is a man who has courage. He said for decades, Iran would not have a nuclear weapon. And then he kept his word. And keeping your word is unbelievably rare. Bill Clinton, 1995, quote, "We are determined to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear..."
All right, everyone always brings up the stupid thing, and I'll be honest, the more that, they always do this to kind of suck them off. For one, I have multiple things on it. It's incredibly gay, and I don't know. I get it. Yes, the conservatives can sometimes be just as gay as the left and be like, oh, that's Israel. Someone's going to suck their dick. It's going to be me. But I don't know. I know conservative, rural people, these are the people who grew up in real life. These are usually dignified, people with moral backbones that aren't going to be, disrespected. But it's weird how, like, I don't know, this shit will fly to them. Political leaders is like, we'll take these Paul Bunyan stories and we'll go, oh my God, oh. But it's just, people do the same shit. At least they used to. Before he crossed swords with Trump, they did the same shit with Elon. Some people do it with Peter Thiel. But at a certain point, it's just like, come on. Like, I get it. It's cool to be like, hey, but there's a certain point where you're like, come on, dude. This is just gay. And then also on top of that, it's like the more people point to it, the more it makes me go, all right, well, I don't know. I think if you look at how he behaved after... Trump, especially now, if you look at his, some of the moves, the foreign policy moves, it looks like a man who is compromised or was full of shit from the start. So, yeah, keep pointing to this. It kind of, I know, I guess it gives me, the idea that they keep pointing to the assassination shit, it kind of makes me go, okay, what's the angle here? Like, or is this like... Point being is he kind of bitched out at the end. It looks like the result of, like, everyone points this as like how tough he is, but it's like if you look at the behavior of things after, and I forget, it's been a while since God, there were certain things he did like immediately after that really, really seemed like this guy's fucking scared. As well he should be. And I don't, point being is it kind of makes me lean to that either this had its effect and it scared him, and then he fell in line with whatever interests he thinks are killing him, whether that was, to what degree that was overt or not, whether that was someone directly contacted him being like, hey, this is what you'll do, or it's just, oh, I get the idea, I will shut the fuck up and do what I'm told. That or kind of makes me lean to maybe there's something to that it's bullshit. I know everyone scoffs at that, but I don't know. They've done crazier shit in the past, so... I know I always bring up the Sirhan RFK example. I mean, that was literal magic. I mean, would it really be that hard to, what was there, a couple shots, one guy died? I mean, I don't know. How hard would it be to pull some fucking magic? No. Like, what does Trump's year even look like now? So, I mean, to be clear, I'm not saying that's bullshit. I have no idea. It could be completely legit. But the idea that everyone still to this day acts like it's ridiculous to even suggest the idea. You're like, what do we really have to show that it legit happened? I mean, you saw it on video, but that's be the easiest thing in the world to fake without even really having to do crazy. I feel like with even just simple misdirection, you probably could pull that off. So, all right, let's watch this.
Nuclear weapons. George W. Bush, 2006. Iran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. Period. Barack Obama, 2015. I have stated that Iran will never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. Joe Biden, 2022. We will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. Donald J. Trump. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. 2025. This is a man of courage.
Keep in mind, we will come back to, they've been completely obliterated. Everyone's cheering, saying how great this is. Oh, how awesome. Just keep in mind.
Who keeps his word with spine, with true, unbelievable, heroic spine. President Trump was already a historic figure, but he is now a seminal figure in both American history.
I just don't understand how any respectable man can see someone sucking off another human being to this degree. And then just like the face that's staring back at me right now as I'm watching this. It's just like, how does the picture not completed? What just a gross, like you were being, it just feels gay. It just feels just Jewed into something basically. It's just the greasiest of greasy slime balls. I don't know. This just feels gross.
History and in world history. First, American history. President Trump faced down a lot of haters, both Democrat,
face down, that's for sure,
America haters, and their Republican horseshoe theory isolationist friends. President Trump was never going to start World War III. That was not what was going to happen here. Anyone who told you that was going to happen was lying to you.
You guys, I want you guys to take a mental note of that one. Take a mental fucking note of that one. And once again, I don't want to jump ahead of myself. I have a bunch of tabs to get into. Just remember that.
Because President Trump lives in the world. He lives in the world of reality. And he played this absolutely perfectly. It is not possible for a president to have played this better. President Trump was not dragged into a war. He managed this with absolutely stunning professionalism, cleverness, with common sense. He gave the Israelis the ability to do what they needed to do. And then Israel did with unbelievable courage and innovation. Israel cleared the skies. Israel killed Iran's top generals. Israel devastated their nuclear scientists. And President Trump waited. He offered Iran an off-ramp, and then another off-ramp, and then another off-ramp. Off-ramps and off-ramps. And then, when they didn't take it, he acted brilliantly with our unparalleled American military, the greatest military in the history of planet Earth, bar none, no second competitors. In the face of those who believe, both left and right, that American involvement in the world is somehow the prime evil, the great driver of world suffering, that the world is somehow better off in the hands of the Chinese and the Russians and Iran going nuclear, he stood up. He stood up to the morons like AOC on the left who proclaim that Trump himself is a Hitlerian threat to the world by standing up to a true Hitlerian threat to the world.
This is so gay. And then the Hitlerian thing, like, I don't know, because they've said death to America a few times. I mean, I don't know. It seems like they have some legitimate grievances. I mean, maybe they overstated things with their rhetoric, perhaps. But I think if you look into the history of Iran and the Middle East, just altogether, you kind of go, oh shit, maybe, okay, maybe they have a little bit of reason to be upset with us.
And he stood up to the dolts on the right who thought that they could somehow claim the movement Donald Trump built, the Make America Great Again movement, for themselves, painting Howard Zinn America-hating turd with a coating of MAGA language and then trying to pass it off as filet mignon. He stood up to all of them, and he proved that America is great again, which brings us to world history. America must be strong in the world. We are the indispensable power. We always were. We must be. And President Trump always understood that to make America great again, America would actually have to be great, which meant reestablishing a central principle. Do not with the United States of America on our core interests. Do not do it. Joe Biden destroyed that credibility. He did so in Afghanistan. He said don't, and then every single person who could did.
Anyone who doesn't do this, doesn't fall in completely in line with neocon stuff, well, you're just not MAGA. You're just not MAGA.
Not anymore. President Trump has reestablished American deterrence.
He's literally redefining MAGA as basically a neocon. Slightly not. I mean, because the America's core interest does a lot of legwork here, but that legwork can easily make it a basically no different from what neocons would advocate for.
Has reestablished American strength. He always said peace through strength, and he always meant it. This is because President Trump understands the most important things. American power matters. American credibility matters. American honor matters. And then there's the future of the world, because everything just changed. The Middle East is now a very different place.
That is for goddamn sure.
Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, maybe in the world, is a regional power with the support of the United States. The Abraham Accords are in the offing for Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Sunni world. The United States is working closely with the Saudis, with the UAE, with Bahrain, with powers in the Northern African sphere to join the Abraham Accords, and with Iran on its heels, rocked, their nuclear program destroyed.
Which is... We'll come back to that. If anything, it's like I'm not really. We'll get into why this is so fucking retarded. Like all the stuff we have to go through today, it's like basically all this smugness of how great this was and how we're not gonna get World War III. Oh, this is just a airstrike, and all of it, just within fucking mere moments, just falling to shit, just like every one of us said it would. But let's keep letting. He's got about a minute more of his smug bullshit.
That is a possibility that would not have been thinkable just a couple of years ago. China, even more importantly, is now thinking twice about Taiwan. Remember, China has been looking across that Taiwan Strait, thinking maybe we'll take Taiwan, and maybe President Trump will do nothing. Well, maybe they're having a second think now that President Trump has used some MOPs to drop them, some massive ordnance penetrators, to drop them on Iranian nuclear facilities. Russia, which may have been casting its eyes at Northern Europe, at Eastern Europe, has to be thinking a little bit about what future expansionism would mean. Because of President Trump. He is truly an all-time historic figure. He proved it again over the course of the last few weeks. There has never been anyone quite like him. There probably won't be again. He thinks differently. He acts differently. And that is a magnificent, magnificent thing.
It's one of the gayest things I've ever seen, like, frankly. Like, I don't know. Like, even if I really, like, even if it was like Ron Paul and I was talking about how awesome he was, I don't know. This is just so gay. Just so gay. I don't know. It's really gay. That's all I got there. Super gay. All right, on to the next one. I think this kind of finishes the point here that I'm getting at. Remember, or kind of starts to get into some of the points. There's so much there to address, and I think they kind of will be addressed with these articles throughout today and some of the other tabs I have for you. But here's from antiwar.com. Says Trump suggests he wants regime change in Iran. So said Trump on Truth Social, said that he seeks it. Let me see if I can find the Truth Social. Oh, it doesn't have it up. Actually, right here, let me see. I'll just read the Truth Social real quick. He says, it's not politically correct to use the term regime change. But if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. Make Iran great again. So this guy unironically posted MIGA, which is, I've heard some theories that people think this is some sort of like big brain, like search engine, attack to kind of fight back against the MIGA move, because that's been like this essentially an insult, a meme against MAGA right now. A lot of the MAGA acolytes of Trump that are MIGA, make Israel great again. So then here we have make Iran great again. So I know some sort of maybe idea to perhaps shift the the search engine results. So instead of getting Israel great, you get Iran, or at least to confuse it somewhat. But either way, here he is. I mean, like, I know, I guess there is ways you can interpret this as him not saying we're going for regime change, but this is like, let's be real. We're going for regime change. So that's where we are. We're there. And I don't think this is where this is going to stop. As I said, the episode I had on with Clint's dropped earlier, and I think we talked about this on Friday with that all the reports said, oh no, the bunker busters won't be enough to take out, what was it, I think the Fort Howe plant, we're going to need nukes. Actually, I think they said you have to loosen up the ground with I think either bunker busters or some other sorts of explosives, and then hit it with a nuke. So, yeah. So point being, I don't know if it's necessarily going to even end at regime change. So, or not end, but I don't think it'll be just as simple as regime change. So, this is going to be an interesting one. And we all know that there will be buffer zones for Israel. That will be put in place whenever this regime falls. They will immediately start land grabs for Iran. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Back to the article. So this is contradicting earlier statements from top U.S. officials who denied the goal was the goal of the U.S. military campaign against the country. It says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again. Why wouldn't there be regime change? MEGA, the president wrote. In the morning, Hegseth insisted the U.S. bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities and support for Israel's attacks on the country have not been about regime change, but Iran's post suggests that regime change is a goal, and the administration's call for diplomacy with Iran continue to be a smokescreen. Now, I will say I don't know what's going on here, but that is true. And I think that we have other little tabs and stuff to go into that'll do this. But he did. It's like he sent all his people on like a media tour for the day, and they all were being like this whole one and done type of implication. That's what they're getting at. Obviously, leaving an open ending of like, this could happen, that could happen, but kind of playing it down, and then come to find out. So I don't know. Point being is it's either. I think personally now I don't buy these. Even more now I don't believe these fucking people. So if anything, we're getting all these stories that like Hegseth and Vance and even Tulsi and all these people. Ooh, they're secretly good guys. Hey guys, they're like behind the scenes. They're like, yo, this is stupid. We shouldn't be doing this, guys. But like, you know what? I'm just gonna the American people. They're not going to do anything. We're just going to have some weird little like implications and like in little things like this that give a little bit of a perhaps there's maybe you're the good guy. No, I think that's complete bullshit. Now they've been doing these narrative games or these little things. So I don't know if this is intentional. I don't know if maybe it was like but either way, I don't think these guys have the moral backbones that people seem to think they have. Tulsi, which we haven't covered on my channel yet, but it'll be on the podcast that dropped. Tulsi bitched out, so I think it was over the weekend. I don't believe we covered it on Friday. She fucking, which we don't have that, but I'll just tell you guys quickly. I forget exactly how she framed it, but if you see her statement, she made some sort of statements essentially falling in line with the current nuclear claims, but while not really, if you read the way it was phrased, you're like, oh, you said nothing. So. But either way, she pulled the Colin Powell and she fell in line. So that's where we're at with these people. So then you have Vance, which we'll get into in a bit. I don't know about Hegseth. I don't know. I haven't looked enough into him. But even then, he sketches me out enough that I think he's full of shit too. So, but anyways, last week, Trump threatened Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, suggesting he was aware of his location. So, actually, I didn't even think about this. You add some of the dumb shit he was saying last week into the mix with the whole regime change implication. And yeah, we had Netanyahu last week talking about saying, oh, well, I'm not necessarily saying we should do this, but like if we killed Khamenei, it would end the conflict. So, which I don't even know if that would end the conflict. I don't have enough, I don't really know enough about maybe I should get someone on the show to talk about that, but I don't really know enough about their political situation. I don't even know what the fuck a mullah is, to be honest, but I've heard people say, oh, other mullahs will take I don't know. So, it sounds like they might have people can fall in line. I don't know. I've heard mixed things. So, because that's what we always get. We get this, oh, well, this is the neocons are running with, which is funny, is the same shit they would be saying about Iraq. It's like, oh, no, this one's like just ready for the taking. Like, nope, this one's good, which is all the same shit they said before. But, they could be right, but I'm not saying they're wrong. Who knows? Maybe this is a magical little area where it is fertile for if you go in and murder their leader, somehow magically things fall together just fine after. But I'm going to go ahead and say I'm a little bit doubtful of that one. All right, let's roll the chat. Been a minute since I checked the chat, see what you guys have to say. What's up, fellas? See, Marty McFly. Good morning. OP Jeff. Good morning, Set C2487. She said, hey, finally getting a comment during a live. I normally driving while I listen. Yeah, I get that. It is hard to do that. Depleting all our bunker buster bombs for Israel. Mission accomplished. W days for sure, says aggressively agreeing. So I was really hoping we wouldn't bomb Iran, just the lefty libertarians wouldn't be able to say, I told you so. Yeah, so I'm sorry. It is what it is. I hate to say a toe-to-so, but a toe-to-so. I fucking toe-to-so. I'm not even a lefty libertarian, so sorry, Tom. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, but as I've said before, it's not that big of a deal. Because everyone's like, oh, no. Oh, look at all these people who voted for Trump. And I agree. But it's also like, as I always make out, my whole point is that, like, I do think it is actually probably a negative. I do think, in generally speaking, voting politically involved in that sense probably is a negative thing. Probably, generally speaking. But it's like such a minor fucking, like, statistically speaking, you're like, what, we're 1 out of 350 million people in the United States. And then you're like, I know, then if you do the further math by your state, and then, like, are you a red state or blue state? It's like, it's who fucking cares? So it's not a big deal. So everyone, like, trying to rub the noses in or making a big deal or even getting, like, super guilty and gay about it. It's like, just move on. Not a big deal. Just, my bad. That's it. Not a big deal. It's really like voting. Who gives a fuck? Like, maybe I'll do that again, but I'll do it differently. Or maybe I learned my lesson. That was dumb. But even then, it's such it really is. Once you're like, you make a big deal of it at the time. You're like, oh, voting's such a fucking big deal. And then, like, I don't know, when you get to where I'm at, you're like, this is, who fucking cares? So, Jim J says, do you think Israel pressured Trump into helping? If America doesn't help, we will use nukes. Heard it was done with Nixon in Egypt before. Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned. When I say there's not just regime change, I mean, I'm concerned boots on the ground or nukes. And honestly, I'm more concerned about nukes than boots on the ground, personally. That's where my head's at. I've seen too many things. Too much pattern noticing going on for me. I can't really even say explicitly. I mean, it would look like I'd look like a Charlie Day with his little, like, string, little schizo thing if I tried to point out. Because you're like, well, if you see here on June 19th, Tulsi said this one statement, and then over here, this one guy said it. But I mean, I'm so embroiled in this stuff that I am seeing the code that's sticking out to me, and I'm like, I think it's kind of screaming nuke at me, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Scrolling through. Yeah, it's just gay when people act like any libertarian type voting for Trump actually thought he was going to be a good president. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think any of you guys really thought he was going to be great. You knew it was a gamble. So it's like, how much can you really rub someone's nose in for that? Whatever. Trump doesn't do geopolitical research or read. He listens to his people, and his people sold him on the Iran, tried to kill him. Lie. Maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Fake earshot, says Marty. Perhaps. He's our boomerist president, for better or worse, says Tom33. Yep. You either get a neocon supporting Israel or socialist neocon Marxist supporting Israel. I'd honestly, if anything, I stand by the things I said before. If anything, I feel like I was more prescient than ever when I said stuff that I think we'd be in a better position with Kamala. But as I said, I don't think it really makes that big of a difference. I'm not saying that you guys are shitty because you didn't vote for her or whatever. I just think if we did run the counter narrative, just judging by how political forces work, Kamala in there would have the left still super mad at her about all the Israel stuff, so she'd have all those forces working against her. The right wing that's anti-Israel and anti-war would be pushing against her, as opposed to the ones that are falling in line with Trump right now. I get it. Everyone says, yeah, she'd probably go harder than the Russia-Ukraine thing, and perhaps she would have, but that felt like it was petering out anyways. So I don't know. I mean, I know everyone says, oh, she'd do this, she'd do that. I don't see it. Maybe she would have. Who knows? Maybe she would have ordered 66 to all of us, and fucking I would have been murdered. I have no idea. We can't run back the clock, but I think it would probably be about the same, if not a little bit better, honestly. So I mean, could it really be that much worse? Meanwhile, the Daily Wire is owned by 2 Israeli military intel guys. Yeah. Iran took the material out. They will have an actual nuke by the end of the year. Yeah, that's a good point, Dr. Torrey, that I didn't bring up. That, like, yeah, then all this stuff too. All this does is make them all the more likely to get a nuke. This is going to make them sprint towards a nuke, because you hear all these dumb people going, "Oh well, thank God we stopping them in their tracks. We're doing something." You dumb. The thing you're doing is making it worse. You are literally making it worse. So yeah. Dude, it's just insulting to listen to. Oh, you think this is insulting to listen to? This is only going to get worse. We have a lot more statements of retarded shit to go through today. Oh my God, get off your knees, Ben. Yeah, good God, this guy is gay. Yeah, I know, this is so gay. It's just ridiculous. It's like, how can someone just fillet someone this much? It's just gross. Trump just saving Israel for last. Trust the plan. Yeah, for real. Actually, it's not true. Does have a chance of ending the nuclear weapon fatwa and result in Iran actually making the bomb. Oh, I don't know what you're responding to. Hustles. Mullahs equal religious mob bosses, says Robin. Robin is a brat. Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed based on the context. I assumed it was some sort of religious thing because I know there's some sort of theocracy of some sort. So, I still think it was a better choice, but also doesn't matter. Exactly, that's kind of where I'm at. Whatever. So, can we make a list of targets for Iran, DC, bad truck stops, way stations, slow drivers, people who don't return shopping carts, Missy Patriot? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Living near Tampa, I'm a little sketched out because I know the MacDill base. They have I think something like 3 military commands. I'm pretty sure that it's CENTCOM, which they referred to. I remember when I watched the Pete Hegseth, the guy they had follow up on him was like a CENTCOM guy, and CENTCOM's in Tampa. So I'm like, fuck, that would be one of the spots they might nuke. So, which I probably wouldn't hit. I wouldn't feel I'm far enough away. I wouldn't feel the impact, but I would definitely get radiation. So, someone says Kamala would have stomped on the gas. Trump's not, but he's not hitting the brakes either. I don't know why you think she would stomp on any gas, or that Trump's not stomping on any gas. I don't know what about Trump gives you the impression he's not stomping on gas. Look at this big, beautiful bill. I don't know what about. I really don't know what about. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean to you, but I really just don't get how this isn't. If you run a counter narrative, I know everyone's like, oh, Kamala's so bad and Biden was so bad, and yeah, they sucked. The things Biden did weren't great, and they were able to get through. I mean, I don't really see any reason why a Kamala presidency would have really been much different than a Biden one, and I don't feel like Biden's presidency in any real way stomped on the gas any more so than any administration before or after did. So same, I don't know, but same goes to Trump. I mean, they all make it. Every subsequent administration is worse, and I don't see how Trump's administration is any different. The budget's all worse, foreign policy's worse. Even the what we were sold on. I'm like, oh, I just want to stop the killing with Russia and Ukraine. What's going on there? Nothing's different. Everything. I really don't know how people go, this would be so much worse. So I don't know. Maybe, obviously, you can't run the counter narrative. Who knows? Maybe she would have tripped on she would have done some dumb shit to trigger things to get way worse over in Ukraine and Russia. I don't see it. So, I don't know. Let me see. I mean, at this point, if crusaded Israel and took it back for the Knights of Malta, guys, I'd be okay with it. Yeah, I mean, I'm anti-war as the next guy, but I did see, I think it was the Libertarian Party New Hampshire put out a while back a tweet that was a argument for how just war theory, how it would apply for Israel. So I'm not saying we should go to war with Israel, but if there was any area that we could justifiably go to war with, that would be Israel. I mean, none of these other things are just wars. Oops, sorry. All right. The thing about Trump versus Kamala, in my opinion, I think Kamala would have been more devastating domestically. However, Trump's are always more devastating internationally. And yeah, well, then on the domestic thing, which is cool, she'd been more devastating. Okay, cool. She has the federal stuff, but if we look at I think when Trump got in, it was basically a borderline a red wave. So it's if, let's say, run the counter narrative, and instead of Trump, it's Kamala, everything else the same. She's not going to be able to get any of her domestic shit through. So, who fucking cares? So, just I mean, I'm not saying you're arguing with me, right, Jacob, but it's kind of that, if anything, that makes my point. It's yeah, there you go. She wouldn't have been able to probably get through any of her domestic shit. So, there you go. This is already better than Trump. So, all right, let's go into the next. Let's keep going. Here's Sagar and Jetty pointing out what I was getting at earlier. He said J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth spent a lot of time on TV this morning saying the U.S. goal is not regime change, presumably to preserve an off-ramp. Then Trump just tweeted it out. So, that was the tweet we read earlier. Here we go. And then Matt Walsh. I find this interesting. So I think Matt, I mean, if we're looking, because you got Matt Walsh here quote tweeting a Charlie Kirk tweet, which is a poll asking, which he had put out a poll before. So this is a second poll of basically the same thing. He says, this is Charlie Kirk saying, do you support U.S.-led regime change, removing the Iranian mullahs? And then here you go. You got 68% saying no, and then 32% saying yes. And then he says, for those of you who support U.S.-led regime change, why? What does it look like? Does Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan give you pause? It certainly does for me. Make your case. And then the Hodge Twids did comment, says, are we now running polls to see if MAGA can be talked to regime change? And he goes, no, as I've repeatedly said for 2 weeks straight, I'm against any form of top-down U.S.-led regime change. I'm curious what MAGA thinks, hence the poll. So I guess a little bit of props to Charlie, and that he still hasn't cucked completely. I haven't been following all of his statements, so he is still even kind of holding the okay, well, I still don't want to do regime change. Although that's where we're at. I think this was before the statement from Trump about regime change. So we'll see now that he has basically openly said it, and it's becoming more and more clear how these people move. So I don't know. I'd say this is one of those moments where it's like masks off. And so I do think it's important for us to, I know it sounds gay when I'm like, oh, look at this influencer, look at that influencer. But it's like, this is a moment to pay attention right here. This is a moment during times like this, see where people fall, say who are the real ones, who was just full of shit the entire time. Charlie Kirk is curious, but someone else posted the previous poll he had posted. This is before when it said should it get involved, and so see how it's shifted. So it's still not good. The shifting here I don't like. So when it was originally about a little over a week ago, said should the U.S. get involved in Israel's war against Iran, we were at 90% no. And then now this question has shifted a little bit to do you support the U.S.-led regime change? And it's 68% no. So theoretically, it's like a 20% softening, because it's basically the same question in a sense, since if you take into consider the shifting of time, the situation's changing. So us actually getting involved seem to have shifted it. So not great, but I don't know. So I think it's worthwhile. But then we have, I do think, back to the influencers, I did want to point out that you have Matt Walsh here pointing out how it's insane that even 35% are saying yes to this. So good for him. I do think Matt, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some big moves from Matt here soon. So, but we'll see. And then here's Robert Barnes, which I've actually been kind of pleasantly impressed with him, because I don't know, I don't really follow him and his buddy's show. I just, I forget, who's that other guy, that long-haired guy? He's like some sort of, I don't know, he strikes me as like pretty Zionist. So I don't know, I guess I kind of wrote off this group, but I've seen Robert, posting some good stuff recently. Here's him quote tweeting something from Trump, and I thought this was an interesting perspective here that figured to be worthwhile throwing out. So this is a tweet from Trump saying, great unity in the Republican Party. Perhaps unity like we have never seen before. Now let's get our great, big, beautiful bill done. Our country is doing great. MAGA. So this is recent too. So this is after all that. So, and Barnes says, basically confirming People's Pundit, I guess this is somebody that said this before, which I'm not following this, but that key senators hijacked Trump's foreign policy by refusing to push his bill unless he backed his war with Iran. So I found that particularly interesting. That is, obviously I don't know for sure this is the case, but that is an interesting perspective that could be what's being said here. Also, I think it's interesting to even say, this great unity in the Republican Party. If you look at Trump's tweet, as we're going to get into more, just kind of the divide here, we're about to get into the Massey Civil War stuff. It's kind of like, I don't think that's the case, but I guess it depends on your perspective. I bet within the party itself, probably pretty unified. Amongst the base, not so much. Donors, solid as shit, let's be real. But I think it's interesting that perhaps there could be something to that, and that maybe this was a, hey, now we can get our bill through type thing. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. It's like, hey, just to get his shitty bill through, he did a shitty war. So it's like, just wild. Just to get this one god-awful thing in that I can't get through, I'll just shove through another god-awful thing. That's just amazing. It's just how politics works. Whenever you compromise in politics, compromise just means you get both bad things. It's not a compromise. It's just, oh no, you just get fucked with both. Oh, you won't let me do this one shitty thing? okay, well, to make that work, I'll do 2 shitty things. Tales all the time. That is American politics for you. All right. What else we got? Then we have here on the regime change, we have Massey calling our boy Donnie out here, saying this is not American first, folks. And this is when he's saying the whole regime change nonsense. But yeah, so now we're dealing with we're dealing with a civil war, I think, on our hands. And I think how it's showing its head is Trump coming after Massey. So he says Trump attacks Massey for opposing his illegal bombing of Iran. Let's take a moment, pop to the chat, and then see what's going on. What's up, Grumpy Gnome? Left and right wings of Bolshevik bullshit. Yeah. Rice Liberty says, yeah, but the domestic debt was always going to be high regardless of who got into office. Like you said, it's literally all theaters. But the two parties do have a focus, and that is not theater. Okay. Yeah, brother, same team, the Uniparty. Yeah. Viva Fry. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. Yeah. Viva's a good guy, but so is Barnes, but Viva's still growing out of his norminess. Okay, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe I should give him a second chance. Every time I see him, I'm just kind of like, okay, he's all right. I've just never been particularly impressed. I mean, he's got nice hair. I'm not gonna lie. I look at him like, dude, that's some fucking sick. I want that hair. I'm like that. Viva's got sick hair. I'll give him that. Maybe if I watch more of his stuff, I'd be more interested in it. But it's never caught on to me. Viva Fry, I don't think he is Zio, but he is Jewish. Was slightly offensive. He's again. I'm not saying he's a full-on Zionist. He does seem like a reasonable one, but I've definitely seen him some takes that are like, hey, maybe it's more normie, but it comes off as normie Zionist. It's always hard to tell. It's like, are they someone dyed in the wool, or is just someone who's just like, that's just what they've heard in their life, and that's just like, you know, I mean, it is kind of hard, especially with Zionist stuff and like all the different claims around Israel, Palestine, this, that. Most normal people don't look into the minutia of that, so they just kind of, when they talk about it, it's just kind of, they're going to repeat what is a lot of times nonsense. So if you are a political commentator hearing that, especially if you're like hearing another political commentator, you might be like, is this a fucking Zionist? And you're like, no, he's just a normie that just hasn't really thought about these things. If they really think Trump plays 40 chess, don't you think Trump is endorsing Massey 2028? Yeah, if that's the case, which I will say, I'll go ahead and get ahead of that. Everyone's saying, oh, Massey for president. Even I don't even want that. I mean, sure, I guess that'd be cool, but you guys you're falling for it again. You're falling for it again. I mean, whatever. I mean, you guys can yell at me. I don't fucking care. You're falling for it again. Like, I mean, not that I think he's even going to run for president. I don't think Massey, I don't particularly think he wants to, but I don't, even if he were to, it's like, once again, I know it's a stupid, simple-minded thing. It kind of comes down to the Kamala thing, where everybody goes, but Kamala, I go, okay, it's this idea when I go, I think perhaps, I'm not even saying this is the case, perhaps Kamala could have been better. And I go, oh, well, she had worse policies. I'm like, I agree. I'm like, oh, what? And you're like, well, okay, well, how do we get from this to that? And you're like, just because Massey gets elected doesn't mean we get Massey things. Like, goddamn, like, if I thought a Massey presidency would result in, like, Massey policies being like sweeping the fucking nation, I'd be his biggest fucking supporter. I'm just not fucking retarded. I've played this song and dance. I've seen it happen many times. It doesn't work out for you. It's stupid. It's a waste of your fucking time. But I do fucking love Massey. I love it when he speaks truth to power. Yeah, President Massey, we show once and for all, the president can only do so much, and that ain't much. I mean, how could you have not learned that lesson with Trump? I mean, I'm not yelling at you, Tom, but you know what I mean. So I'm just using that. All right. I am retarded. So you're not retarded. Wow, Jose, so you don't think Trump saying MAGA is clearly coded proof that he's actually working against Zionists? Very low IQ, to be honest, bro. Low IQ. Yeah. All right, let's get back into this. So, yep. So on Sunday, President Trump attacked Massey, so that's yesterday, over the congressman's opposition to his bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities, which was undertaken without any congressional authorization, making it illegal under the Constitution. Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky is not MAGA, even though he likes to say he is. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, and doesn't respect him, Trump said in a long post on his Truth Social account. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level nuclear weapon, while at the same time yelling death to America at every chance they get. Before Trump bombed Iran, Massey introduced a war powers resolution in the House that would direct the president to remove U.S. armed forces from unauthorized hostilities in the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then Massey introduced the bill with Representative Ro Khanna, and it now has 42 other Democratic co-sponsors. So far, no other Republicans have joined the effort. So it's literally just Thomas. So I think Trump is right. They are unified on a party level. War powers resolutions are privileged, meaning Congress is required to swiftly debate and vote on the measure. Which, keep in mind, this was introduced before the bombing started, so I think this could have played into this. Because it's like, this is, we're going to get you fucking people on paper saying, I support this. Or I do or do not support this. And, I don't know. As I pointed out with that poll, look how much it shifted. I get it. Technically, it's a different question. The times change, but it's sort of in a sense the same question at a different point in time. There was a 20% shift. So you're like, the difference between getting Congress to put their names on the line a week ago and now is a different case. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that it was strong, thing, but it could have. So. When two countries are bombing each other daily in a hot war and a third country joins the bombing, that's an act of war, Massey said. I'm amazed at the mental gymnastics being undertaken by neocons in D.C. and their social media bots to say we aren't at war so they can make war. And, so in his True Social post, he said Massey's opposition to the war was disrespectful to the U.S. military, which I'm going to tell you, that's fucking bullshit. Massey should drop his fake act and start putting America first. He doesn't know how to get there. He doesn't have a clue. All right, let's go actually to the tweet itself. I'll show you right here. It's the irony here, I think, is Trump has fallen into the left-wing meme in that he can't meme anymore. Look at how long this fucking thing is. It's ridiculous. This is just a stream of consciousness shitting on Massey is Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky's not MAGA, even though he likes to say he is. Actually, MAGA doesn't want him, doesn't know him, and doesn't respect him. He's a negative force who almost always votes no. Well, he fucking should. No matter how good something may be. He's a simple-minded grandstander who thinks it's good politics for Iran to have the highest level nuclear weapon, while at the same time yelling death to America, which they don't. And once again, they're only making them closer to the nuke by doing these actions. And even if somehow you were able to prevent Iran to get a nuke from these actions, say you were able to completely destroy the mullahs and now you've completely removed their ability to create a nuke, well, guess what? Now you've sent out a message to the rest of the world that they should sprint to a nuke. This is stupid. Iran has killed and maimed thousands of Americans and even took over the American embassy in Tehran under the Carter administration. We did a spectacular... The killed and maimed thousands thing, by the way, is through proxies. These are weak claims. These are claims of through proxies. So the same thing can be said of us. So if not, far worse. We had a spectacular military success yesterday, taking the bomb right out of their hands. They didn't. We'll get into that. And they would use it if they could. But as usual, and despite all the praise and accolades received, this lightweight congressman is against what was so brilliantly achieved last night in Iran. Massey's weak, ineffective, and votes no on virtually everything just put before him. Rand Paul Jr. Okay. Oh shit! He threw. I didn't catch that the first read through. He's throwing some shade at Rand now. Okay, he's catching strays for no fucking reason. I'm assuming maybe Rand must have said some stuff too. I haven't heard him say anything. No matter how good something may be, he's disrespectful to our great military and all they stand for. Not even acknowledging their brilliance and bravery in yesterday's attack, which was a total and complete win. Their brilliance and bravery. They took a plane and they flew it and they dropped a bomb. How much do you need to suck at your fucking local military member's dick for this? This is ridiculous. It wasn't even that brave, particularly. You flew, you hit a button, you got the fuck out. I mean, I don't know. I mean, were they really... I know, this was after also what? After all the claims they supposedly took out, a shitload of Iran's air defenses, so they basically were defenseless. So, you're so fucking brave, and you're so fucking smart. You know how to fly planes that you get paid way too fucking much to do and waste millions and millions of dollars to do so all the fucking time. You're so fucking brilliant. Massey should drop his faked act and start putting America first, but he doesn't know how to get there. He doesn't have a clue. He'll undoubtedly vote against a great, big, beautiful bill, even though non-passage means a 68% tax increase for everybody, which I don't know how he gets to that. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I know there were supposedly tax decreases, but it increases the budget. So it's like, okay, maybe. I don't even understand how it's like you could be, well, sort of the idea is that somehow it's a 70-ish% tax decrease for everybody if it gets passed, yet while also somehow increasing the budget. That doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, and many things far worse than that. MAGA should drop this pathetic loser, Tom Massey, like the plague. The good news is that we will have a wonderful American patriot running against him in the Republican primary, and I'll be out in Kentucky campaigning really hard. MAGA is not about lazy, grandstanding, non-productive politicians, of which Thomas Massey is definitely one. Thank you to our incredible military for the amazing job they did last night. It was really special. Make America great again. I can tell you, I don't think there's really any military members that really like this rings true to. If anything, this rings true to people that, I don't know, get off on how, I don't know, just stupid boomers, really. That's the only people I think that really anymore, this like flagrant, transparent, like, I don't know, draping yourself on the flag. It's just gross. It's gross. I mean, it's transparent. I think everyone sees it. Just like, I don't know, and I think a lot of people seem to agree with me on this. I put out a tweet on the statement Trump did after this, and it was just creepy. And he, at the end, he evoked God. I just said it felt fucking gross, and it did. It felt gross. It felt clumsy. It's just, I don't know, they do these things, and it's like, ugh, gross. I'm not even religious, but that's gross. All right, let's watch Thomas Massey fucking being a boss.
And the notion that this isn't an act of war, I find ludicrous. This is a hot war. There are two nations, Israel and Iran, trading volleys of missiles every night, every day, and we're co-belligerent now in this war.
I mean, the vice president went on to say that they needed to act now because there was a narrow window, and if they waited, it could have been too late. And they needed to stop the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Do you not share that concern?
No, I don't share that concern. But I have another concern, and that is that 3 bombings to neutralize Iran may turn out to be the 2025 version of 2 weeks to slow the spread. This could turn into a protracted.
Now, I want to say, I think this was before the dust had settled, I think. So this was on Sunday. Right, so it's June 22nd yesterday. So this is before the dust was settled. So like the whole 2 weeks, 3 bombings. Yeah, so he's a little bit ahead of himself. So I mean, I don't think we'd really had much information come out, which we'll get into in a second. So I'm saying he's being pretty prescient here.
Prolonged engagement, and I'm here to represent the base of the MAGA party that got Trump elected. Most of us were tired of the wars in the Middle East and Eastern Europe, and we were promised that we wouldn't be engaging in another one. Yet here we see this happening, and there's the president and the administration say, "Oh, we're done. We've had our little bombing, and now this is over." But what happens if this drags on between Israel and Tel Aviv gets pummeled by Iran? Is President Trump going to say we're going to sit by and not do anything in that instance? I'm leery of this given everything that's happened before.
Fucking killing it. He was on a bunch of other shows too that I'd recommend you guys go check out. But he's just been straight killing it, doing a good job. Let's move on to the next thing. On the realm of them saying dumb shit, here's J.D. Vance saying, don't worry about war with Iran because President Trump isn't dumb. Let's just go ahead and let him just straight up say this because he's literally said.
I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do. Simple principle. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That has animated American policy over the past 130 days. It's going to continue to be a driving force of our policy in the Middle East for the next 3.5 years.
Oh shit, I clicked the wrong thing. 1 second. Let me exit that. All right, yeah. All right, well, thank God our leaders aren't dumb. Which, I don't know. The only thing I can really say they think you're dumb. This is really, really, really fucking dumb. It's well, thank God they're not dumb. It won't be drawn out because they're not dumb. This is the arguments they're giving you. This is what J.D. Vance is been, we'll come back to him. We're going to go into him too. Now, this is some of the stories that were being floated about. So here's from Reuters. Vance says the U.S. shouldn't be directly involved in the attack on Iran and suggested Israel was trying to drag America into war. So this was on Reuters. So they were making these claims. These are also these claims that have been thrown out. Remember, we had the signal leak, and Vance was the lone, let's be real, weak voice. Like this is what they consider heroism. He was the lone voice going, I don't know, guys, maybe we should go to war.
Maybe we should let Europe handle the murder. We won't handle the murder. We'll give it to Europe. Oh, I'm such a hero. Such an anti-war voice.
I don't know what that voice is, but I like it. I don't know why that's my J.D. Vance voice. But yeah, anyway, we're getting sold this stupid fucking lie. I think stupid lie that he is, anti-war, that he is the future. They tried, especially with the meme campaign and such, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed the meme campaign. They did a good job. They're trying to associate him with every man. They're trying to make him the picture of the MAGA base. They're trying to make him the standard, MAGA, what people associate. So it's just like they're trying to trick you into taking this, I don't know, I guess you say Fuentes energy, libertarian right-wing energy, they're taking these stuff and And honestly, he's kind of seeded a lot of his stuff in kind of like the NRX stuff, kind of the Austin McIntyre, who's the one dork, the long hair, the Curtis Yarvin. He's sort of seeded in some of that philosophy while not really being it even. So my point being, it's kind of philosophically filling that area while not really being it. And that's why I think these sort of things being floated out is bullshit. There are more on that. We have right here. Here's more on his. Here's actually let's do the Fuentes one here first, just to bring him up. Here's Fuentes, who found a clip of him from back to, this is a day he received the VP nomination calling for bombing to Iran. So I'm just saying, make sure to know who this guy is. He's been clear about the Iran thing from the jump. So I guess, to be fair, I guess he's not lying to you. But this is who he is. He isn't. I don't know. This is who he is. He is an empty shell. He is a politician. He is bought and paid for by the Teals. He does a good job of what he does. He goes on Theo Vaughn. He's fucking, this guy's cool. I could have a beer with him. He's fun, but I don't trust him. I think he's being heralded in. We have this Trump going nuts, and and we have this guy sitting in the wing. So it almost feels like that whenever if Trump burns all his political capital, that Vance is some sort of like off-road to reabsorb MAGA or even take his place in some sort of impeachment, assassination, or something sort of situation. So, yup. And given his I don't know, his paymaster daddy boy, Teal, it's a little concerning. So let's go and play this.
Most important part, I think, of the Trump doctrine in foreign policy is you don't commit America's troops unless you really have to, but when you do, you punch, and you punch hard. I think that's the way that you respect America's brave men and women who are serving. Now, let me say something about...
When you say that, does that, for example, how President Trump beat the caliphate? It was overwhelming force, and it was done pretty fast.
How President Trump beat the caliphate, beat ISIS, which people said it literally couldn't be done, and he did it in a matter of months. But also Iran, Sean. A lot of people recognize that we need to do something with Iran, but not these weak little bombing runs. If you're going to punch the Iranians, you punch them hard, and that's what he did when he took out Soleimani. By the way, that action, people said that it would lead to broader war. It actually brought peace. It actually checked the Iranians and slowed them down a little bit.
All right, we have Fuentes here just saying, he says, contrary to the planted story in the media that Vance was opposed to the war in Iran, here's the day he received the VP nomination calling for the U.S. to bomb Iran. Don't let him wiggle his way out of this. He owns this war and should not be the nominee. And he is correct. So that's why I'm bringing this up. Like, hey, know where this guy is, know the things he's saying, because I do feel like the play is wiggle him out of it. Because, we have these things that have been seeded out there of like, oh, he's this, he's that. I don't believe it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it feels contrived, and it feels like we've been had. I mean, especially in light of, look at how this all went down. This whole situation was we entered into diplomatic talks. There was something weird, loose, ominous claims of something about 60 days from now, possibly, I don't know, some vague, it'd be really bad if in 60 days we didn't, okay, I don't know what to do with that. They go into, diplomatic talks. Things seem to be doing good. There seems to be claims from both sides of the parties. There's all these stories seeded out there throughout, too, that these divides between Israel and us. And then, and then one day around the 60-day mark, Israel attacks. And this is when I believe even within 24 hours prior, I think, Trump was putting out stuff saying, oh, we don't want violence, we want diplomacy, blah, 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 blah. Strong signals, and kind of seemed weird. Almost felt like, to give him some sort of benefit of the doubt, perhaps this was him, like, putting out there kind of like he knew something was going on in Netanyahu, kind of like, do not, or something like that. Almost like, I don't want this. And then, boom, they attacked. So there's two ways to understand that, I think, from the statements that have been put out. And I think one's becoming more and more clear, or at least this is what they're claiming. What actually happened, I don't know. But there's only two ways that could go down. It's either he knew, and at some point, I don't know what point he would have known. That's up in the air. Either way, it's kind of shady. No matter what point he knew, even if up to the 24 hours prior, because he's saying still, I want diplomacy or whatever. So then it's on you. You're literally actively tricking him at that point if you knew, or you were actually actively trying to behave in good faith, and Israel blew it up. And even then, you still fell into their bitch and did all of this after. So, and the second time, there was that time when then they said, before these bombings, before they bombed their nuclear facilities, he said, he'd made all these things about, wanting to re-enter talks, blah, blah, how they should come back to talks, da-da-da. Oh, I'm going to wait 2 weeks. Oh, all this. So very, very, strong signaling. This one's less shitty. I'll give it, this one's less shitty because he even said it in like, I don't know, I could do something good. But it very much was a trying to, trick them back into it, lulling them. So deceptive. It clearly was deceptive. The second go around, far less deceptive because, let's be real. We're already kind of in it at that point. You know what's up. The first time, though, was just fucking gross. So I don't forget what my point was of that. Oh, just kind of, I think, just where people are at in that. And so, point being is these people are acting deceptive. I remember what my point was. The kind of like how we should give these people the benefit of the doubt. So these stories are being seeded out there with these official sources say, oh, this, that. Never anyone on record actually saying any of this. It's never public that, oh, these people are actually, crusaders for anti-war behind the scenes. I don't buy it. Especially after the deception's been seeded around. They're clearly trying to play games. I think they know what their base wants, and they're willing. I think a lot of those lies were just as much for Iran, if not for us, because they didn't want us actively opposing it. So it's like, if we know they're actively working on hostilities, then we can actively oppose it. But if they just do it out of the blue, we get caught off guard. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next one. Here we go. Here is Vance yesterday on, what was this on? Meet the Press.
We do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. But we want peace in the context of them not having a nuclear weapons program. And that's exactly what the president accomplished last night. I really think there are two big questions for the Iranians here. Are they going to attack American troops, or are they going to continue with their nuclear weapons program? And if they leave American troops out of it and they decide to give up their nuclear weapons program once and for all, then I think the president has been very clear. We can have a good relationship with the Iranians. We can have a peaceful situation in that region of the world. We have to step back a little bit, Kristen, and remind ourselves that we negotiated aggressively with the Iranians to try to find a peaceful settlement to this conflict. It was only when the president decided that the Iranians were not negotiating in good faith that he took this action. Yeah. He didn't take it lightly, but I actually think it provides an opportunity to reset this relationship, reset these negotiations, and get us in a place where Iran can decide not to be a threat to its neighbors, not to be a threat to the United States. And if they're willing to do that, the United States is all ears.
And this is before, later in the day when Trump makes that statement about regime change. So we have him saying this show, we do not want war with Iran. And then even then, Trump's thing was seated in like, oh, if you don't fall in line. But his idea of like, oh, not fall, we want peace. But like the idea is like, okay, well, we want peace if you're willing to do every single thing we want. So it's like, that's not really any sort of good faith moving towards peace. That's just, as he tweeted out or truthed out days before, it was absolute surrender or unconditional surrender or something like that. So yeah, I think this is going to be a protracted thing. And this idea of like, we're in and out and, oh, thank God we don't have dumb people here. Like, no, this is looking more and more pretty goddamn fucking dumb. So, all right, let's roll through the chat, see what you guys would say. And then we'll go into how it's not looking like we even came close to destroying the Fordo Center, which I was talking about on Friday about how there was that reports being seeded out there about how this wasn't going to work and you needed a nuke. So, all right. Trump can't meme, exactly. Hi, guys. What's up, Tipster? Nice to see you here. Sorry I'm a little late, but you still made it. You sure did. It's big and beautiful, Jose. It doesn't even make sense. Yup. Has World War III started? No? Yes, I believe it has, and we will get into that. And I believe Ben Shapiro is an idiot for saying otherwise. I say World War III has definitely started. It's just that warfare looks entirely different. We are within 5th generation warfare. Yep. All right. Also, I'm pretty sure they killed Massey's wife. Yeah, I have no idea on that. We still haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know what to say about that one. Bearded Massey, Loki looks badass though. He sure does. I will say, he looks sick as fuck. The difference is his president knows how to do war. Yeah. Goated Vance voice. I don't even know if I could do that voice again. I lost it. I have to go listen to it again to see if I get it. Vance is just a white Vivek. Yeah, white Obama, I think, is another good way to look at it. Who is this guy? He came out of nowhere, and now I got to respect what he says. Yep. He's almost entirely being used to persuade people who are against war to vote GOP in 28. I think they know they're going to get massacred by the DNC. Yeah, they're going to get raped in the next election as things are. So, I mean, this is why I think, like, maybe, just maybe, the move is Trump to play it hard as fuck and just completely devastate whatever political capital he has. Like I said earlier, and I'm genuinely kind of concerned about a nuke, and I don't know how that plays out in the political game. And I don't know, not the worst idea if political players had this sort of planned out in advance. Like, okay, cool, this is the narrative. All right, we're going to have Israel announce the world their nukes, and you're going to insist in some way, shape, or form, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We gotta make sure to seed out the narrative that Vance is like actually not really with this shit, and then maybe at some point we can have him come out and be the hero in some way, shape, or form, or something. And then we can have Trump going hard as fuck in the paint for Israel and be like, oh hell yeah! And then this blows up in his face, and we're like, oh my god, that was crazy, you did that, oh! And then we can impeach him, and now we have Vance in there. Is that what's gonna happen? I don't know, but I could see that. I could see something crazy like that happening. But if it plays out the long, low, and slow, and like they don't get some like Trump has to get swapped out, then they're just fucked. They're just fucked. I don't see how they get this back. They're just screwed. Like, the left is going to win the midterms. It's just that. And honestly, I think, as I've said before, I've been saying lately, and probably in a good way, I think the left has gotten an absolute licking lately. And I don't know. And while I don't like hang out in left circles, I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps they're better. As I've been saying, I wouldn't be surprised in the next 10 years I feel myself far more at home, colloquially speaking, with the left than I do with the right. Currently, I feel far more at home with the right. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get far more reasonable, based lefties in the future, and the right wing kind of loses power because they fucking decide to implode like idiots. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah, exactly. Just like this is the same story we got with Obama. Just a guy came out of nowhere, and now we have to respect everything he says. Yeah, like this dude literally has a Hollywood movie about his. Well, I don't know if it's Hollywood, but it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie about his life. J.D. Vance was a hillbilly elegy or whatever. Has a book written. And there's all sorts of weirdness around there. People are like, I don't even know. Didn't even know he was an author, so he's probably ghost written. Like this dude is a created person. I mean, there's all sorts of weird. His name's not even J.D. The Catholicism, where he's religious, like that was, he literally claimed that was because he was convinced to become, or not convinced, he said he became Catholic as a result of Peter Thiel Peter Thiel is like who funded like all of his shit, like found him out of college at Yale, which is known for fucking what? Skull and Bones is like where like all like shitload of fucking like presidents and stuff have come from. So, come on, dude, this is a created person. They're giving you this hillbilly fucking like, oh, he fucking grew up and he was around all these rednecks and they did pills and snorted them up and his mom sucked dick for fucking heroin or whatever. Like, I don't even know what his story is. It's like, he's just like you. I don't think he is. I think he got fucking bottomed by friggin' Thiel. So, yeah. Tipster says, how's it feel to wake up and hear these latest news that what Trump has done, bombing Iran, that is, you guys going to die for Israel? And I'm not being mean. I'm just curious what you guys think. Oh, I'm not dying for Israel. I'm not going. Honestly, I don't even know. So like everyone, we're going to die, World War III. Like I do think we're World War III now. I know my kids have been freaking out about this, but I don't really feel like we personally have anything physically to worry about. I think financially it might really hit us. This might really hit us in the wallet. But I'm not concerned about literally dying for Israel. But it is it's not good. I mean, there definitely could be people who do die for Israel. That's for sure. So, what's up, JC? See you in there. Have I talked about Palantir? I mean, not today, but I've definitely mentioned Teal already. Palantir took their name from Tokens Lord of the Rings. Yep, Palantirs are crystal balls, and you could see and communicate wide and far. And of course, they were abused by bad guys. Interesting name. Yeah, if anything, I believe it was Sauron's influence that itself that actually it's either Sauron or Morgoth, but I'm almost certain it was Sauron's evil influence that had literally infected the Palantirs. So that's part of why they were corrupted. They were literally corrupted with evil. So yeah, it's if anything, the symbolism of it's even worse. That's part of why Saruman was corrupted, because he was using the Palantirs. And he was kind of also slowly being corrupted by Sauron's evil. Because the whole thing with Morgoth and Sauron, Morgoth was like a Valar, which is the big gods. And you had Maiar, which is what Sauron, which were demigods. The first original evil was Morgoth. And he was like the original evil story. And essentially he imbued his evil into the earth. And essentially, so he's the original evil, is like the story. And then Sauron came along later, and he was some big evil, but he was more able to like imbue his evil into localized things, like as opposed to the entire world at a very, very low level. He could imbue his evil into things, items, in a much more focused. So that's where you get the ring, the Lord of the Rings. Like he literally imbued his essence into that. So, but yeah, anyways, I'm pretty sure he also imbued his essence into the Palantirs. That or Morgoth did. But point being is it's literally infected with evil. So like it is very much a scary metaphor. So, even if Iran has nukes, would they really know how to use them before blowing? Even if they had nukes, they don't have the capability to deliver them. So like, even if they had nukes, they wouldn't be able to get them to us. So like, there's so many levels where they're not even close. So. Whole situation's fake and gay for sure. I'm just worried these lunatic Muslims who's going to do something really stupid and destructive. I'm far more worried about Mossad than I am about any lunatic Muslims, but we'll see. Let me see. Waiting for bigger false flags so everyone starts to look more like wartime everywhere. Yeah, which it is kind of funny. Like I've been calling for a false flag. I still think we're very much keep an eye out because it could happen, because it just would be too easy. It would make everything fall in line. But it is kind of wild that they didn't even need to. Like there's been a lot of tweets going around. There was no false flags here. Nothing. They just did it. They didn't even need to con us into it. They just did it. So yeah, nerd alert. Yeah. Yeah, on the Morgoth stuff. Exactly, yeah, Morgoth is primeval, whereas Sorna is the evil in the heart of man. Okay, that's a good way to look at it, yeah. So he's like the original evil, and Sauron's... Okay, all right, yeah, that's a good way to conceptualize it. Yeah, because, I mean, a lot of Tolkien's work was very much like straight up a metaphor of, like Christianity and other stuff, so... all right, let's get into the next. All right, U.S. and Israeli officials say U.S. bombing didn't destroy Iran's Fordow nuclear site. Israeli officials and a senior American official have told the New York Times that U.S. bombing of Iran's underground Fordow nuclear site didn't destroy the nuclear facility, despite President Trump's pronouncement the attack completely and totally obliterated the nuclear facilities that were targeted. Two Israeli officials told the paper that the Israelis' military initial assessment which is based mainly on satellite images, was that the strikes seriously damaged Fordow but didn't completely destroy it. They said it appeared that Iran had evacuated the facility and removed enriched uranium, which aligns with a statement from Tehran. Senior U.S. official also said the bombing didn't destroy Fordow, but insisted the strike had severely damaged it, taking it off the table. Okay. The official added that not even 12 30,000 pound bunker busting bombs could have destroyed Fordow. So much more corresponding to what we talked about on Friday with the reports about nukes being required. Before the attack, reports said that the Pentagon's Defense Threat Reduction Agency said in a briefing to officials that in order to destroy Fordow, so here we go, the U.S. would likely have to drop a tactical weapon after softening the ground with conventional bombs. So they knew this. They knew that this wasn't going to be enough, despite being seeding this in here. This whole fucking bullshit. Oh, it's gonna just one strike and we're done. We're out, guys. The U.S. military said in the attack on Fordow and 2 other nuclear sites in Natanz and Isfahan, U.S. B-2 bombers dropped 14 30,000-pound bunker busters known as GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators or MOPs. Each B-2 can carry 2 MOPs, suggesting 7 bombers were involved in the attack. The U.S. military, which dubbed the attack Operation Midnight Hammer, which, goddamn, that's so gay, said a total of 125 aircraft were involved in the bombing, and that the aircraft fired a total of 75 guided munitions at 2 of these sites. U.S. Navy submarines also fired Tomahawk missiles at a 3rd site. The official line from the Trump administration of the 3 nuclear sites that it targeted suffered severe damage and destruction, but a final assessment is still being made. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Tehran is still calculating the damages. Iran said it also evacuated the sites in Natanz and Isfahan and removed nuclear material. So the IAEA said that it did not detect any radiation in the area following the attacks. Following attacks on the sites in Iran, the IAEA can confirm that no increase in off-site radiation levels has been reported as of this time. The U.S. and Israel have attacked their sites under pretext of stopping Iran from developing a nuke. But before Israel launched this war, U.S. intelligence had no evidence that Iran was working toward a bomb, and claims to the contrary came from Israel's Mossad. Yeah, there's so much that happened this week. I totally forgot to really bring up the Tulsi stuff. I know I mentioned it in passing earlier, so maybe probably have to hunt down some links so we can cover that tomorrow or something. I don't know, but hell, that might be old news by tomorrow. So I mean, these things move so fast right now. But yeah, on this, so look, here we go. Leading report breaking. Iranian state TV says the country is now rebuilding the nuclear sites and will proceed with activity. And like we said, they managed to evacuate most of the nuclear material anyways. While I'm no fucking nuclear whatever, like I don't know much about this shit. Sounds like they got their stuff out of there. I mean, obviously, it sounds like it would fuck up maybe the production of further nuclear material since they got to rebuild it. But they still have the nuclear material. They just now are going to struggle to make new nuclear material. So didn't do anything, I think, but really just pissed off Iran is what it looks like to me. So. And then here's from Josie. She posted took a screenshot from Dave Rubin. These idiots. So, and that's a wrap on World War III. Unfollow grifters accordingly. And here she is quote tweeting, just in, Russia ready to help Iran, Kremlin says. So yeah, things are picking up. I know we also just talked about the other day about how China's moved into the Hormuz Strait. So, here's a tweet from Jackson Hinkle on Russia and kind of the extent of other entities getting involved. So this is Russia exposes Israel at UN. It says Israel's not a member of the NPT, so full IAEA inspections of Israel are not carried out. Iran is the only country that has accepted the most inspections. Instead of thanking this country, we bomb it, and civilians are targeted. Unfortunately, Director General of the IAEA has never called for Israel to join the NPT. This situation is fraudulent. And then, then we'll get into the last story about more consequences of this and how this might very well affect you and in a real way. So let's go through the chat, see what you guys got to say. Speaking of false flag, have you seen Israel, Iran, Ukraine? I'll use the same AI green screen to detect their flag as a rolled cone. I don't know what you mean. Have you seen... Okay. I don't know what you meant by that, bud. Sorry. Scrolling through. Got to get back to making memes. See you all later. See you, Grumpy Dumbs. Thanks for joining us. I knew Russia would get involved. It's also predictable. Exactly. Yep. We all kind of assumed this would happen. So, just one and done, in and out, no big whoop. Oh, we're not dumb. We're not dumb. All right, this is starting to look pretty goddamn fucking dumb. Here's another one from Dave DeCamp over anti-war. This is Iran's parliament votes to close Strait of Hormuz in response to U.S. attack. Well, that's great. Iranian media report on Sunday that Iran's parliament has voted to close the Strait of Hormuz in response to the U.S. bombing of 3 Iranian nuclear facilities, a step that would significantly impact the global oil markets and economy. Esmail Kawasari, a senior Iranian lawmaker, said it was now up to Iran's Supreme National Security Council whether to go through with closing the waterway. The parliament has come to the conclusion that it should close the Hormuz Strait, but the final decision lies with the Supreme National Security Council, he said. Roughly 18 million barrels of crude oil, about 20% of the world's consumption, move to the Strait of Hormuz each day, making it a vital choke point for global energy trade. According to Newsweek, some experts suggest that closing the strait could raise oil prices by 30% to 50%, potentially leading to a 5% increase in gasoline prices per gallon. So you guys can see here, if you see on the thing why this is so important. Look at this Gulf here, the Persian Gulf. This comes into Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, UAE, so even Qatar, kind of right in here, Kuwait. So these are all very oil-rich countries right here, you can see. And this Gulf then goes into this tight little area, the Strait of Hormuz. And this comes in the Gulf of Oman, and that leaks into the ocean. So you can see why, considering how much oil comes out of here. As we said, it's 20% of the oil. And considering, the geography of this area, how it's not reasonable. What are they going to do? Go the other side of Saudi Arabia, go around? I mean, I don't know the logistics. I'm sure it'd be a nightmare to try to change that entirely. We're talking about it's a pretty big-ass country right here, the Saudi Arabia. So we're talking a gigantic diversion and really throwing off things. This is roughly, okay, never mind. So you can see here why this is pretty clear, but you can tell Iran very clearly. I mean, UAE is on one side of this, but Iran has the most of this right here. They can they have the border of the ocean, or the water right here, and kind of the peak location to kind of shut off the strait. Iran has made clear that closing the strait, which connects the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, was an option if the U.S. launched a direct attack. Iranian officials have also warned the Iranian military could hit U.S. bases in the region, which could lead to massive U.S. casualties. An attack could be coming soon. Trump and his officials have threatened more attacks on Iran if there's retaliation. Rubio declined to say on Sunday if they would bomb if the Strait of Hormuz was closed. Let's be real, they're going to. If they close it, it's going to become probably some sort of Navy battles to try to reopen it. I'm not going to take options away from the president. That's not something we're talking about right now in terms of being immediate, he said. Rubio acknowledged that closing the strait would have an impact on the U.S., but suggested it would be suicidal for Iran to shut down the waterway, which I wouldn't be surprised if we keep seeing that thrown out. Oh, suicidal, which, I mean, probably, obviously, it's not good for them. They're screwing themselves over, too. But I'm just saying that they're really leaning into this is a theocratic Muslim nation, and they're all, because I mean, I've even heard people theorize with their the actions of this government. They're like, oh, maybe they might do this because they're religious and suicide bombing. And I don't know. This is part of the logic of oh no, if they got a nuke, they'd fucking just use it immediately because they're suicidal. I don't think so. So I think it's just more leaning into that. I think that's where the suicidal thing is coming from. That would be a suicidal move on Iran's part because I think the whole world would come against them if they did that, he said. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't know how that would work either, too. If there's, especially if they have ways that they could still get things that are allies, if they maybe let allies in and out, but not others. I mean, I have no idea how this would play out. But either way, get ready to probably tack on an extra $5 to each gallon if this goes forward. So have fun with that. Here's Michael Tracy pointing out Bannon, Kirk, Posobiec, how these guys are essentially, government functionaries. So let's read this. He shared an excerpt from the Washington Post. It says, throughout the week, White House officials also kept in close contact with influential leaders in Trump's base, including Bannon, Kirk, and Jack Posobiec, to make sure they were being and felt heard, according to 2 White House officials with knowledge of the communications. And Tracy pointing out here how Bannon, Kirk, and Posobiec should be understood as government functionaries who have been tasked with placating certain audiences to keep them in line. They'll never directly criticize Trump, and that's ultimately what matters. Trump is the oxygen they breathe. This is true. I addressed this in the episode with Clint. It said, yeah, these people are in holding positions, and as soon as they get whatever the thing is that allows them to, go forward, they're done. These people, if you see them, the stuff they're saying, they're repeating all the propaganda. They're just not coming to conclusion. Therefore, regime change. Therefore, war. Therefore, whatever. So we just all they're at now is they just need a big enough thing to get the therefore. That's it. That's where they're at. So they're buying all the propaganda. So keep that in mind with these people. All right. And then here, I already mentioned this one earlier, but I just thought it was funny that they didn't have the courtesy to false flag us, said Harrison Smith. I also just want to give a little kind of credence. I've been watching him from the outside looking. He's been doing a good job. I know we all are a little sketched out about some of the InfoWars people out there. But yeah, Harrison he's been pretty on it about the Israel thing, so good on him. All right, here is Dave DeCamp. I thought this was a interesting point he brings up here. Says, here is a video. He's quote tweeting a video from Senator Rubio. So let's watch this, and then let's see what he has to say to kind of slap down Rubio's point here. Now I got to fix it real quick. Second. My bad. It's doing the StreamYard glitch again. Give me a second. There you go.
Say they can come, but if what they want is a secret program buried in the mountain where no one can see it and inspectors can only come when they say they can come, if that's what they want, then they're going to have big problems, because this is a dangerous, violent, radical regime. Not the Iranian people. We have no problem. We didn't hit Iranian people last night. We hit nuclear facilities. And if what they want is some secret program that looks nothing like the civil nuclear programs around the world, it looks a lot like you're trying to build a bomb, they're going to continue to have problems, not just with us, but with many other countries in the world.
Problems like what? What do you mean?
Like the problems they're facing right now. Listen, why do we have bases in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and Qatar and UAE? All of those bases are there to help protect those countries from Iran. Why did Hezbollah exist? Because of Iran. What does Hamas exist? Because of Iran. How do the Houthis exist? Because of Iran. Who built the IEDs that maimed and killed American soldiers in Iraq? Iran. They're behind every problem in this region. They are the sole source of instability in the entire Middle East, and the world's been paying a price for this for 40-something years.
I think we're the sole problem. Well, between us and Israel, maybe not. So the two. So I don't know. But let's go.
Imagine those people having a nuclear weapon, just one nuclear weapon, or even the capability to being on the threshold of having a nuclear weapon. That's what the world was facing. That is unacceptable. President Trump did the world a favor last night, and now Iran should sort of wake up, the Iranian regime should wake up and say, okay, if we really want nuclear energy in our country, there's a way to do it. That offer's still there. We're prepared to talk to them tomorrow and start working on that. Steve Witkoff has traveled extensively around the world trying to reach that deal with them, but they play too many games. They play way too many games, and now they found out.
All right, playing this. Oh, they played games. Oh, they played games. Oh, they wouldn't come to deal. Oh, that's why we did scum shit. Yeah, I don't know. I will say I actually also want to I want to go on record. I've said this many times. I think literally the best thing that could happen right now if some magical deity jumped out of the sky and came to Iran and goes, here you go. Here's a nuke. Here's the delivery system. Here's literally everything. You have all the things you need in order to be able to attack anyone on the planet with a nuke. I literally think that would be the best thing that could happen. I mean, obviously, no person is going to do that, because then people real quick might go, "Oh shit, okay, just kidding, I'm good. Let's just chill out." So I don't know. It's just I don't see any reason to think why they would immediately attack. And meanwhile, you have Israel, they're closely bordering them, that has probably hundreds of nukes. So. And then we have Dave DeCamp pointing out here. He says it's funny that they're going with the IEDs in Iraq thing to justify war with Iran, because that's what they're leaning into. Oh, thousands of people maimed, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they're really heavily leaning on is Iraq. They always point to how they make these like really weak claims. Like, this is how weak it is. They make weak claims that there were these IEDs during Iraq that were, I think, similarly constructed to ones they used or some shit or something like that. But like, there's plenty that have shown that perhaps like they may not have had anything to do with those IEDs. It just could be just because that's this design they use. I forget. It's very, very weak. It's super duper weak. I've looked into this before. Kind of be like, because this is what Whenever you hear scare porn, like this is the one they always go to. Even before all this, it's like, oh, they always go, oh, they maimed thousands or they've hurt thousands. It's like thousands of service members is always, and they're meaning IEDs in Iraq is what they're meaning. And once again, I don't know. There might be something to that, but even then, that comes back to the proxy thing, and then it's just weaponry. So it's like, okay, so then the one group got weaponry from them, maybe, and even then, I think it's super weak, because there's a lot to show that these people, I think, may have had production capabilities themselves, and they weren't complicated things from my recollection. But on that, here we go. Even if that's the case. So, but at the same time, we're literally embracing an Al Qaeda guy who directly fought an insurgency against the U.S. and Iraq. And then Trump's even kind of gave, all sorts of nice, words about him and stuff. Here he is, literally one of the higher ups in fucking Al Qaeda over in this, basically running Syria right now. So this makes no sense. Also, to add to all this, you made this, Rubio says, why does Hamas? Because of Iran. Who built the IEDs? They're behind every problem. Imagine those people have a nuclear weapon. That is unacceptable. And it's like, well, fucking North Korea has nukes. We didn't kill them all. They haven't attacked us. I think North Korea is probably far more deranged than these guys are. All right, on to the Minnesota Manchurian candidates. Let's take a second. Let's read through the chat, and then we'll move on. Shadi Owens says, recent Politico highlighted how AI-generated imagery, including stylized flags, has been used in the context of the Israel-Iran conflict to shape narratives and spread misinformation. Okay, I don't know. All right, scrolling through. Anyone, you guys have a ranch with horses and cattle and would like to have a ranch hand? I know animals, but know nothing about ranching. Tipster is trying to get a green card, trying to find a husband over here in America. I don't know why. I assume she's a girl, but anyways, let's go on. This is Iraq 4.0. Rubio is just repeating the lines completely are real. Says aggressively agreeing. Yup. Yep, this side is crazy. They literally agreed to no nuclear weapons. Yup, they sure did. I think they said they weren't willing to stop doing nuclear enrichment, but that's because there are legitimate reasons to do nuclear enrichment, and also the nuclear enrichment was, I think they were willing to reduce their nuclear enrichment to much more reasonable, far more civilian uses, because from my understanding, it's like there's different percentages, and like the lower percentages is like far more like civilian usages that make sense. And then when you get to a certain, that's when you can convert it to a bomb. So I think they're at like 60% right now. I don't know what you need to be to convert it to a bomb. But the point is essentially that hey, we're close. Like we could enrich this more if we wanted to type deal. That's my understanding. So, but they're willing to de-enrich to where they're at a lower level to where, but the sticking point kept being no enrichment, which means effectively no civilian nuclear program whatsoever. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a nuclear guy. Maybe there are ways you can use nuclear material that's not enriched at all, but I don't even understand. I would assume that means it's just not nuclear. I don't know. So it just doesn't make sense to me that the idea that you can have no nuclear anything. It's kind of retarded. Scrolling through. All right. All right, let's move on to South Africa. Got rid of their nukes before ANC Mandela took over, though. Yeah, I've heard that being thrown around because I think some of the apartheid South Africa something or other that played into their nukes, and I've heard people throwing that out. So there might be. The point being is that denuclearization for Israel, which I think, if anything, that kind of leans more towards the idea of we could see Israel drop a nuke in the not so near future. In the near future, I could totally see that being the case, and that could be because I think political forces are shaping. People are speaking out more about it. It's becoming much more of a known because it used to be like an untalked about little secret, and now it's just out there. And so it's kind of they are kind of at this point where now there's no avoiding it. It's almost as if they have to denuclearize or nuclearize. They essentially have to do one or the other. They're essentially going to have to go the Iran route, and or they're just going to have to go fuck you and drop a nuke and go, bitch, we got nukes. And so I'm I don't know. I could see them doing that. 60% enrichment is 90% of the way to the 90% enrichment needed for a weapon. It's also the max allowed by the NPT. They did this to show they could, but they did nothing wrong. Okay, there you go. So that's understanding. That's understandable. So yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. So, but you still need some sort of enrichment for the civilian stuff, is my understanding. But the sticking point for the Trump's administration was like none at all. So Iran is 100% abided by all the nuclear rules, and 100% of international regulatory and intelligence agency agrees, except Mossad. Yep, bingo. All right, let's get into Doc Torrey's story he shared here. We're just going to go straight to the article. This goes more into the whole thing in Minnesota. It says the letter to the FBI from shooting suspect made wild claims about Klobuchar and Walz, sources say. People with direct knowledge of a letter Vance Bolter addressed to the FBI say is rambling and conspiratorial. It says in a rambling conspiratorial letter addressed to the FBI, alleged assassin Vance Bolter claimed Governor Tim Walz instructed him to kill U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar so that Walz could run for the U.S. Senate, according to two people familiar with the contents of the letter. The letter is the clearest evidence yet of Bolter's mindset after the targeted violence against Minnesota's politicians last week. It is incoherent, 1.5 pages long, confusing, and hard to read, according to two people familiar with the letter's contents. So it sounds like we don't even have access to the letter, which is retarded. It includes Bolter's alleging that he had been trained by the U.S. military off the books, and that Walz, who is not running for Senate, had asked him to kill Klobuchar and others. Asked to comment about the letter, Hennepin County Attorney spokesperson Daniel Borgert, holy shit, Borgert Poping? All right, that's a name. Said the office cannot comment on an open investigation, but due to the seriousness of the allegations it contains, we will state only that we have seen no evidence that the allegations regarding Governor Walz are based in fact. Walz's spokesperson, Teddy Sean, said in a statement Friday afternoon that this tragedy continues to be deeply disturbing for all Minnesotans. Governor Walz is grateful to law enforcement who apprehended the shooter, and he's grateful to the prosecutors who will ensure justice is swiftly served. Klobuchar said in a statement Friday that Bolter is a very dangerous man, and I'm deeply grateful that law enforcement got him behind bars before he killed other people. She was not the only politician named. The letter included a seeming reference to U.S. Senator Tina Smith. Federal prosecutors allege the letter was left behind in a Buick that Bolter deserted near his home in Green Isle, Minnesota. It also allegedly contained Bolter's confession that he carried out the shootings, represented Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark, and injured Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. Bolter, 57, stands charged in U.S. District Court with 2 counts of stalking Representative Hortman and Senator Hoffman using interstate facilities, 2 counts of murder for Melissa and Mark Hortman, and 2 counts of using a firearm to shoot the Hortmans and Hoffmans. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office said, "We have no comment about the contents of the letter." Vance claimed he was licensed to carry a weapon in 2019, and the license was renewed in 2020 when he was still involved with the family's private security firm, according to documents the Minnesota Star Tribune obtained from the Minnesota Private Detective and Protective Agent Services Board. Along with his federal charges, Bolter is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder in Hennepin County District Court. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty has said her office will seek first-degree murder charges against Bolter. So, I mean, I don't even know what to do with this. This is wild. This guy is, apparently he's claimed that he was hired by Walz to murder Klobuchar. The funny thing is I believe these things happen, but I don't think I believe this one. I don't know. This seems too easy. It seems too much. I don't know. All right, let's scroll through chat, see what you guys say. What do you guys think? You guys buy this? I mean, yeah, he's claiming to be a super soldier in MKU program, which I think that's a thing, but I just don't. When you come out immediately and that's yep, that's what I'm doing. You're like, no, I don't believe you. Advanced military trained leaves a paper trail. Exactly, says JMS. Yeah. 7 nations in 7 years. It took longer, but the Pentagon pigs got their wish, says Wise Elk. Yep. All right, what else we got? Let's see. I might have to save some of this for tomorrow. Yeah, let's save. I had a shirt shooting thing I was going to do. A couple submissions from you guys, but we had so much to go through. I got a couple of submissions from you, Jabrowski. Appreciate you guys that do that. We'll bring that up tomorrow. Yeah, let's do Dutroux and we'll get out of here. Let's finish on that. We'll get out of here. Let's roll through the chat real quick though, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll go on to our live reading. This will be, I think today and tomorrow will be the last one. So today is part 5, tomorrow will be part 6, which is for the Dutroux thing is a appropriate place to end it on. So Yeah, this is all BS since he got away from a police shootout. Exactly. Yeah, all the stuff. I mean, we talk about this a lot on my episode with Clint. Yeah, it's sketchy shit. All right, let's go into... Oh, real quick, I do have a super chat over on Rumble. Someone says, Google blading professional wrestling. I'll do that real quick since you did give me money. I'll Google it and see what the hell that does. I'm not sharing the screen because, blading. God, why would you do that? You're gross. Not cool, man. All right, well, you paid me money, so I looked it up. Congrats. Now I know, and now you all have to know. Oh, I know why you brought up. We're talking about, I thought you were just telling me this is a gross thing that happened. Okay, no, blading, that's in professional wrestling is when you cut yourself. So to kind of to do like a sleight of hand type thing to kind of make it look like, oh, I am bleeding. So that's what Desk Zero is referring to. Thank you for the $1. I do want to remind you guys can do Rumble rants over there if you want to. Or you can just support me over at Patreon if you want to do the subscription model or just do a one-time thingy or something like that. So yeah. Typester says there's something good and nice about USA. It's the national parks. Amazing and beautiful. Would love to see in person. You are correct. There's a lot of beautiful things. Oh, hey, Tyler says happy birthday. Thanks, bud. Sorry I didn't get to see you while I was up there. Yeah, Saturday was my birthday, but I appreciate it, bud. So yeah, see Jabrowski. All right, let's get into bad news. Bubba, national parks going private. I don't know. That might be a good thing. I'm for all things private, but let's it's probably not actually literally private, so that's probably why it won't be good. But let's get into our live reading. We're getting into back into the Dutroux stuff. Like I said, I think between today and tomorrow we'll finish it. But we're starting off at the Cries scandal. I do want to remind you guys, this is from ircnic.substack.com. He's also on Twitter at IRC_NIC, or his name is IRCNIC on there as well. So any combination of that stuff, you should be able to find it. But this is his second part. We covered the first part a while back, so we're covering the second part too. Obviously, if you want to be able to read it in its entirety and not get it broken up piecemeal like we're doing here, go check out Substack. Go follow him over there. Go follow him on Twitter. He's got lots of great threads on Twitter that I haven't covered that you guys can dig into for more. All right, the Cries scandal. The Cries stands for Center for Research and Information on Childhood and Sexuality in English, and was founded in 1987 in Belgium. Its founder, Philippe Carpentier, intended to help pedophiles fight their pedophilia. Carpentier had formerly worked as a translator at a police statement, but as it turned out, Cries was in fact an international CSAM distribution network and child prostitution organization. The Cries edited a pedophile magazine called L'Espoir, which means hope, and it is what led the police towards it. They staked out the entry door of the Cries and noticed they condemned pedophile registered in their files was seen entering the premise, which I gotta say it's creepy. That's called Cries, considering what they're doing. After an investigation, 16 different searches were organized in and around the Cries. 15 people were arrested, and a listing of more than 400 clients of the Cries was acquired. It was filled with addresses of pedophiles and pro-pedophile organizations all over the world. More than 20,000 pictures of children as young as a few months old were seized. Only 20 children were identified in the pictures. One member of the Cries, Michel Filou, worked at UNICEF in Brussels as a sort of handyman. He sometimes spent his nights down in the basement of the international organization. It's like he lived there. The police searched it and found out that the basement had been used for CSAM photo shoots. There was a whole photo development laboratory, a catalog made from CSAM pictures, as well as a computer full of addresses of children to be sent to pedophiles. Filou was supposedly bringing in children and gaining the trust of their parents by pretending to be giving out computer science lessons in his basement. Reminds me a lot of the Finders. They were big into computer stuff. Others were arrested, like an employee of the Minister of Justice or a couple who rented their handicapped child to members of the Cries. Another person arrested was Olivier Roulet, a schoolteacher who had written about arms trafficking as well as Wackenhut and the far right in Belgium. Roulet photographed minors for the Cries. In total, 14 people were sentenced to prison, with sentences ranging from 3 to 10 years. The Cries network was like an octopus, making its way to the Netherlands, Italy, France, the USA, Germany, Spain, Switzerland, and more. 280 members were identified by the Belgian police in foreign countries, but all they could do was share the information with the foreign police services, and so most got away with it. Trials and tribulations. In January of 1996, Toussaint learned of new developments with Cindy and her family. We learn that the mother and her daughter, Cindy, no longer reside at home. They are staying at the maternal home of Swiss Swissmiss. I don't even know how the fuck you pronounce it. Quaismiss? I don't know, whatever. Cindy's father could no longer bear the tension surrounding his daughter, the threats weighing on her and her family. The parents therefore decide to break up following this very unstable climate. No follow-up was given to the police report beside the fact that tension and threats are mentioned. From whom and why? The gendarmerie doesn't care to know. At the same time, Soria and Isabel stopped their collaboration with the gendarmes for the same reason. They are being threatened. What's even worse is that later on, in March 1999, in the Etienne Delhouven trial for the rape of Cindy, Isabel will completely disavow her statement about him. She's made to write a 5-page letter in Delhouven's own lawyer's office in his home. And the draft is even found there in the bin. Bit of an unusual, highly personal and stressful environment to make someone write a letter in. In this letter, she says that the investigation forced her to testify that she was ordered to sign a statement previously written by the gendarmes and Toussaint, that she was forced to recognize Delhouven's because a gendarme told her to look carefully at his picture because him that you will have to recognize, wearing the number 6, and this whole case was a setup, and that she would have been beaten if she had not cooperated with the gendarmes. Upon reading her letter at the trial, here's what the judge had to say to Isabel. Do you realize the seriousness of your remarks? You wrote this letter without even speaking to your lawyer. There's only 2 possible explanations. Either, as you say, the police forced you, or it was someone else. Are you afraid of someone? Isabel stands by her letter. Chantal Rofes agrees with Isabel on what she said. It was a setup by Carlo, out of all people, and Bernadette Lapisse, Delhouven's former girlfriend. The tribunal's presiding judge also had something to say about the letter to Delhouven. Don't you think it's strange for a lawyer to have a letter of withdrawal written at his own home? Delhouven says he had it written while he was still in jail, but he's lying in a very obvious way. The dates don't correspond at all. Cindy doesn't even show up at the trial. The prosecution's representative considers that the charges are not strong enough to charge Delhouven with rape of a minor without Isabel's testimony, and so he's acquitted. But Chantal Rofes and Delhouven still remain charged for the involvement in pimping. Delhouven received a 3-year suspended prison sentence for it. He appealed, his sentence increasing to 3 years in prison in 2000. He did not appear at his appeal trial. He opposed it and dragged out the proceedings until the statute of limitations expired and his sentence was therefore overturned. He was a free man. I think it's fair to say that the investigation was sabotage. Same for the trial. Etienne Delhouven was prosecuted again in 2003, forgery in connection with trafficking in CSAM videotapes, and 2007, malfeasance in connection with the management of retirement homes, but he remained free and was never even bothered. We will get back to those CSAM VHS tapes shortly. Yeah, let's go ahead and I guess kill it for today. Let's roll through the chat real quick, and then we will get out of here. Appreciate all of you guys joining me today. Let me roll through, make sure there's no more Rumble rants. Not seeing any. All right, see what you guys got to say. All right. America's beautiful with awesome people. The government sucks, and I think that it's pretty much how it is across the world. Yep. Oh, my hair's being weird. Doing a weird little floopy thing right here. Happy birthday. Thank you, Schizo. Scrolling through. You guys are arguing about privatizing parks. What would you call a young woman if not Bubba? Someone says. All right. I think that confirms that Tipster is a chick. All right. I'm sorry, but if BlackRock is buying your national parks, yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like that is not private. That's what I'm saying. So you're like, oh, you're privatizing. Because so often we hear, oh, they're privatizing, and you go, and BlackRock's buying. You're like, what's that fucking privatization? Like that is definitely a government entity right there. So yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, if BlackRock's coming and buying them, not good at all for sure. But if we're genuinely doing private, yeah, I'm all for it. But that's not what's happening here. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate all of you guys joining me today. For those who want to support what I'm doing over here, you can like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. All those things go a long way. You can also I'm retarded. You can also follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. And then if you want to directly support the show with money, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That gives you access to early episodes. I've been trying to do 1 to 2 a week these days. I think I'm going to try to do like 3 this week. And then I'm usually keeping about 4 behind the paywall in a given time. So you're getting weeks of paywall content. You're also going to add free RSS feed. And then you also get priority for the call-ins, and then also access to the pre-show on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, which is already dead, that goes out on both of our platforms on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So it's tomorrow. Join us, give us calls, hang out with us. And the highest level is my sponsors. I read them off every episode. It's a big thank you to them. Co-host and Tower Gang, or used to be, at Tower Gang Toad, also at Ebrigate D's, at ZOVRACK, at _Invizeal, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly Klebold, Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torme, and then Jordan Pearson. Appreciate all of you guys joining me. See some last stuff here. You guys still talking about ears being cut, stuff like that. It's your birthday. No, Saturday was my birthday, but thank you, everybody. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Thank you. Love you all. We're out of here. Deuces. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Should be the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern. See you then.